It took him 17 years to build a Lamborghini from scratch. Supercars have captured speed enthusiasts since they were first introduced. These mountains of metal and horsepower are works of art in their own rights. I mean, when was the last time you saw an ugly supercar? These speed machines capture our imagination with their beauty and raw power. They're meant for two things: to go fast and to look amazing. So when Kenan Hawk first saw the Lamborghini Countach in the movie Cannonball Run, he found himself falling in love with the legendary car. This started him on a journey that culminated 17 years later when he unveiled what he had kept under wraps for so long. What he made with his own two hands is so amazing that I almost couldn't speak. You seriously won't want to miss this. Meet Kenan Hawk, the man with an incredible piece of art that he built with his bare hands. After watching Cannonball Run, he fell in love with the Lamborghini Countach so much that he knew he had to have one. Affording it was another matter though, so he decided he would make his own. This is an English wheel. It's a tool that's used to bend and shape metal. He's going to be using it quite a bit during this build process. He created the wooden jig to help him bend the metal for the car to create the iconic perfect angles. He uses the English wheel to manipulate the metal into the shape of the jig. This process is incredibly difficult and is all done just by eye and feel. After a section is complete, he welds the pieces of metal together on top of the jig. The amount of time and energy that must have went into this custom fabrication cannot be overstated. There's definitely a reason this project took 17 years to complete. This is the completed passenger side rear fender. Then he made sure the body panels fit onto the frame. These body panels are so expertly put together, you'd be hard-pressed to figure out that it wasn't an authentic Lambo. Ken does have an engineering degree, however, so that may have made this project a tiny bit easier for him to accomplish. Nothing short of perfection would do for this build. Ken literally thought of everything. This is a 100% handcrafted aluminum tube frame. You won't find many people who can create a car frame from scratch. First thing to go in were the transmission and engine. This beast is going to be packing a Boss 351 V8, which is mated to a ZF 5-speed manual gearbox. The rear end and suspension is now hooked up. That's one beautiful looking setup. This car needs two radiators to keep this engine cool. There's one situated on each side of the car to allow air from these side scoops to hit them. The internals look like they're finally complete. The assembly looks like it's nearing completion. Now it was time to apply the primer and body filler. That rear end is probably one of the most recognizable images in car history. You should be extremely proud of your work, Ken. This thing looks absolutely gorgeous, and it isn't even painted yet. Now this is one of the most epic DIY builds I have ever seen. That's pure heaven in this picture. There was a light problem that needed to be solved before this thing could be brought into the light, however. Because it was built in his basement, Ken had no way to get this thing up to the surface. So he did what any man would do. He knocked out a basement wall. He hired a contractor to tear down a wall of the basement and excavate the area around it to create a ramp to allow the car to be pulled out. Once they got it to the surface, it was easy to see why this thing was so special. Almost everything on the car was completely hand done. Even the Lamborghini doors were handmade by Ken himself. I'd challenge anyone to call this out as a fake if they saw it rolling down the street. This thing is pure perfection. The amount of detail and care that Ken must have put into this thing for it to have taken 17 years is pretty amazing. I would never be able to tell the difference between this Countach and one that rolled out of the Lamborghini's factory. Share this amazing Lamborghini DIY build with all your friends.